Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Travis Hatch, founder and owner of Travis Hawks Media, a video production company known for story-driven content that helps brands stand out, connect, and convert in the digital age. Travis, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction and yeah, excited to chat with you today.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started Travis Hawks Media. What were you doing beforehand? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is in marketing and sales. So I worked in marketing for 8 years, 10 years maybe. Yeah, probably. I think I worked in marketing for 8 years and then I got a job at a startup company to help build that company. Ended up as like director of international sales. So my background was always in sales and marketing. Video and photo was really like a passion of mine. I started doing photography when I was in high school, started doing some videos. I did some kind of like home video stuff when I was young. Like I always just loved doing this stuff. And I'd never really thought about it being a career path for a while until I started doing like personal stuff. But yeah, at the startup, if you ever worked for a startup, you wear like a lot of different hats. And I had this skill that I was doing personally, so I would help them with social media stuff. If we go to events, sometimes I would do the photo and the video. I remember the CEO telling, like, looking at one of the videos, and he was like, "Oh, you missed your calling," because it was like a really good video, and I was like thinking, like, "Oh, you never know." And so it was always just like a thing that I did on the side. I came up with the decision to do this professionally, honestly, like very suddenly. 2020, the pandemic happened, and I got a call like Monday morning, and they said, "Close your laptop. We can't pay you anymore. The company's going bankrupt, essentially." So I lost my job like very suddenly and had a bit of an epiphany, I guess, in that moment. That kind of sudden push made me realize like working for somebody else was not making me happy. I had this like flash before my eyes of doing job interviews, and I was like, that is just not, I just really realized in that moment that is not what I want to do. And I want to try at least working for myself. So I thought about what could I do for a business? Like I want to start my own business. What could I do? I had this skill where I even like the sucky elements of the job, I like doing it. I like learning, I like editing, I like all of the kind of elements of the job that I think would be tough for some people, which I think that's an important element. If you're going to do something, you want to be able to do even the things that are harder to do. And I also had a very clear roadmap to success. Like I had other people in my network that were doing this professionally and doing well.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I have a lot of different pieces to the puzzle there, and just made the decision to like go all in on this. Like at the time, I was just in a position where I'm like, I don't need to make money for a little while. So I'm gonna put all of my eggs in this basket and give it a try, and it's worked out like really well. So that's the explanation of how I started.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you so much for breaking that down. I want you to talk me through at the beginning, were there any mental or emotional blocks around starting your own thing, being a business owner? Because I know that a lot of people, when they're on the fence of doing it, there's something holding them back. Typically, it's limiting beliefs, it's mental or emotional blocks. Was there any of that for you? And I'm curious how you were able to navigate that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing is just like a ton of self-doubt. I'm like,
Mm.
I've never done this before professionally. Am I good enough? My work sucks. All of those things that go through your mind. Like I've never really run a business. Like I don't know what I'm doing. That like
Yeah.
keeps flashing through your mind. I think the way I got over that was through, I guess like mentorship would probably be one way to put it. One, like I said, I have a network of multiple people that have been doing this a long time that were friends of mine that had a roadmap for success. So I leaned on them heavily of, yeah, are these doubts going through my mind valid. Do you think my work is good? How did you get started? That sort of thing. And I got a lot of reassurance from those people. And then I think another big thing is like today's modern access to information is like nothing like we've ever seen before. If you don't know how to do something, like there is very clear instructions of and like pathways for getting better everywhere between YouTube Academy, but also what I did was I got a few different courses, like online courses that kind of really helped me get the wheels turning and improving the things I needed to do at first, which was
Yeah.
basically like improving my craft and figuring out like how to get clients. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that access to like mentorship and education really helped me get over a lot of those initial limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely critical. And I think you mentioned a great point with the YouTube Academy, because you don't necessarily need to spend thousands of dollars on a mentor if you don't have it, if you don't have the ability to do that. And I think that might deter people thinking they need to do that. But we live in the best times possible when it comes to access to wisdom from YouTube, AI. And when you mentioned self-doubt, it reminded me of a quote by Conor McGregor. I just searched it up. I think he said, doubt is only removed by action. Anytime you're not working is when the doubt seeps in, or when you're
Hmm.
not taking the actions that you know you need to be taking. So I love that. Let's fast forward to give the listeners more context into your company today. Who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, we can dive into the different offers and services you provide.
Yeah, I'd say like my ideal customer is a medium to larger company that has like a focus on marketing and a need for video and a profit margin within their product or offer that makes sense to use video. So that's one side of it, like a financial side. Like you in this industry, you really don't want to be talking to people that don't really need your service
Mm,
and have a service or an offer that it actually financially makes sense for them to do it. I'll explain that a little bit more, but the other side of that is like what I like to do, what I enjoy doing. That's one bucket that I'm looking for. The other bucket is like people that have a good story to tell and that by telling their story will help grow their brand. That's the other side. So, what that kind of combines to is what I like doing is like high quality brand storytelling content. That's
yeah,
not necessarily the best use of dollars for every single business. So it really comes down to who you're talking to. So an example is like a small coffee shop. If they're going to spend $5,000 or $10,000 on a high quality video package and they sell $7 coffees and their profit margin is like 30%, think how
yeah,
many coffees they're going to have to sell to even break even on that. Versus, let's say, I don't know, like a construction equipment manufacturer that sells like equipment for $200,000 a piece and they have a 70% profit margin and they have a really good story to tell that would differentiate them from their competitors. If I make you a $10,000 video package and you sell one of those pieces of equipment, you're like 10xing or more your investment. So financially, it's like it really comes down to who you're talking to and making sure you're talking to the right people that really truly need what you're providing,
yeah,
and then making sure that you're in the right place, like you're doing the things that inspire you. If I'm doing videos that I'm not stoked about,
yeah,
it's a lot harder and they're not going to be as good. So that's
yeah.
kind of what I look for.
Especially in the creative industry. If you're excited about something, you're gonna put a lot more of your time, energy, and effort in it, and really value and put a lot of pride in the final product.
Yep. And you'll also end up spending actually less time in it. What I found is if you're doing something that doesn't inspire you, you run into writer's block type of thing
Yeah,
where it's like, what do I do? If you're doing something that really inspires you, you probably you picture in your mind exactly what you want to make before you even start shooting. And the whole process is a lot streamlined. You actually spend less hours on the work in the end.
100%. So walk me through what a typical client engagement looks like. Like, how long are we working together on average? What are the deliverables? What outcomes are we looking to drive? Walk me through that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Yeah, so let's say we're working together. Let's say we sign, we're working together. What does a typical client engagement look like in terms of how long it lasts typically? If it's retainer and it's
Mhm.
ongoing and it depends, let me know that. And also, what are the typical deliverables in terms of the tangible things that we're going to be driving towards?
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for repeating that. Yeah, I'd say there's two main categories. There's in the type of thing that I do or that we do. There's retainer clients and then one-off projects. Those are two different business models in a way. A lot of video production companies only do retainers. A lot of video production companies just do like big one-off projects. Some do somewhere in between. I've gone back and forth on this. Like I have some retainers, but I have found that I personally enjoy doing one-off projects more. And
Mm,
I just think like I'm able to just put more like energy into them. I personally like having kind of an end date in mind.
yeah.
And I've found, I think this is really important for anyone who gets into creative things because you hear people tell you like you only should do retainers, you only should do retainers. There is a lot of problems that come along with retainers and that you have to like really, you can't just take like any retainer from anyone. Like it might seem great at first, but there's a lot of problems that you can run into that will end up ruining business relationships and just driving you absolutely insane and all kinds of things. So I like to have a couple retainers going with the right people as long as it's very organized. Like we know exactly like every single piece of that is laid out like in a contract basically that says this is exactly what we're going to be doing and this is how. Any sort of confusion that comes into a creative retainer is going to, it might, like I said, it might seem great at first, but it's going to cause problems and it's going to most likely get in your way of actually making more money. So I do like to have some retainers, but very specific ones. And then I really like just doing like the one-off projects. And what I focus on for those projects is like packages.
Mm,
So I follow like a kind of like content waterfall type techniques.
I
Let's
see.
say we're doing like a we would do like a brand story video. Maybe that's 2 minutes, or maybe it would be like a brand story, like mini documentary that the company or the nonprofit, for instance, would play at conferences. That might be like up to 6 minutes. And
Yeah.
then from that, you can get like 10, 20, maybe even like social media clips, a bunch of photos, a website banner video, a testimonial. It's really easy to create a bunch of other, if you're doing one kind of like slightly longer, higher quality thing, you can get a bunch of shorter stuff from it as well.
Yeah. Very interesting. When you mentioned something that's super unique, which is you would prefer the one-off projects as opposed to the retainer, because the majority of agency owners I talk to, they're like retainers all day long. That's what they want. When you think of scale, when you think of your vision and where you want to take the company and really grow it, is it more so on the one-off project side, or is it more so on the retainer side when you think of future growth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not like against retainers at all, and I understand why people would say that. If you're trying to run like a giant agency, having guaranteed income going forward is obviously like amazing, especially when you have like overhead and full-time employees and all of this stuff. That's definitely pretty important like for the business. The way my business is set up is it's not as necessary because I don't have a lot of that overhead. Like I don't have a studio, I don't have a ton of full-time employees.
Yeah.
And what I do instead is I have a kind of really what I've a pretty like dialed in sales process that's always running. Like I have somebody that works for me that's like keeping this like thing running. So I have a steady stream of discovery calls coming in for these projects. So I'll definitely do retainers for sure. But I think anybody that does retainers, especially like creative retainers, will say there's just a lot of like headaches that can come in from them.
Yeah.
And I think if I get into a place where it's like really hard for me to keep booking one-off projects, that's probably a pivot that I might look at getting into more retainers. Just for the history of my company, I've had a very good stream of one-off projects coming in and then like repeat projects. So it's like you could almost think of that as a retainer in a way, but providing like really good service at a good price for my clients. Like one client might give me like 6 projects in a year. So I've been able to just run my business mainly with the one-off projects, and I've just found there's like less headaches, everything. It's just a much clearer like delivery and start and end date. But I do think, yeah, if your main goal is to scale, you're like, oh, I want to have $1 million agency, retainers might be a better like way of scaling. But yeah, there's just kind of pros and cons to both
Yeah,
of
no,
them.
I love that. And it sounds like you have some sort of consistent process that can book discovery calls on your calendar, so you are less like you don't feel the pressures of needing retainers to keep making sure that month over month you're making money. So let's walk me through that process. When it comes to lead generation, when it comes to marketing, how do you currently do that? And then what is the process that you've built to consistently book discovery calls?
Yeah, so my my lead generation, I've done a number of things. Like I started with Instagram when I first started. I've found that it's harder to find high quality leads. There's a lot of like lower quality leads that come through Instagram. I've done email before, which was all right. And then I started doing LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has just been so successful. That's really all I do right now for like new lead generation. Definitely would, if that starts to become less successful, I'll probably bring like email and other things back in. But right now, for like my current business size and like what I can handle with my current systems, just current clients, word of mouth, like definitely don't knock. Those are those, if you're gonna have one client that brings you a ton of business because you provide a really good service, that's obviously amazing. So I think like between current clients giving me projects and then like word of mouth, those are great. But like my main lead generation for new leads is like a LinkedIn process.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. I love that. So when you say LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, or is it you use Sales Navigator?
I do, yeah. I
Yeah.
use Sales Navigator.
And then you don't need to give us like super specifics, but I'm curious how you tailor the first message to actually get people to respond.
Yeah, totally. So the process that I use for LinkedIn, I don't really use like in-mail messages. I don't know, like when you receive, does anybody look at those? I don't
Yeah.
really look at them when I get them. What I try to do is use just LinkedIn on the whole. So I use Sales Navigator mainly just for staying organized and
Yeah.
having better lead searches. But I use LinkedIn on the whole, like making sure my page looks really good and gives a full picture of everything and drives people to book a call. And then posting content, interacting with other people's pages, trying to be like top of mind type of thing, like commenting on things, posting content, that sort of thing. And then sending like connection requests and then messaging like people that connect with me. So I'll pretty much do like a connection request with an intro message attached to it.
Yeah.
And generally, these are going to be people that I have like mutual connections with somebody else and I have some sort of connection with them. And then, yeah, and then there's like a sales process from there. So, like, connection requests and then messaging with them or maybe sending follow-up messages. I try not to like bug people, send too many messages, and I'm not I think it's important to not just go right for the close basically. It's social media. It's not like pitch media. So like
Yeah.
the first message isn't, "Hey, I have whatever. I'd like to sell you this." It's more just like a casual introduction to what I do, getting connected with them, and then posting content so they see that and stay top of mind,
Yeah.
interacting with their pages like a real person, and then sending follow-up messages. And I think so it's not, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Nothing like
Yeah, no,
nothing too
it makes
crazy, but yeah, just trying to be like a real interact more the way you would if you're like a real person. And then instead of like some AI business.
sure, just be human
Yeah,
and have a
exactly.
legit conversation. Yeah, I love that. So I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube and stuff on how you can increase your LinkedIn presence. Commenting is actually a pretty big thing, especially when
Yeah.
you're commenting on like people that have a decent amount of followers and you're adding value. But one thing that I learned early on was, when you connect with somebody, just, hey, love what you're doing at XYZ, looking forward to staying connected. Something super simple like that. And it's not like I'm trying to pitch anything. It's just I'm naturally starting a conversation on a good note. And like you said, the content that you're consistently posting, you commenting on their stuff, that eventually leads to something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, think of it more as like networking than lead
I need to
generation
close
in a
this
way.
sale right now.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's just such an important thing for get out of the mindset of I need to close the sale right now. That's kind of like sales 101 basically.
Yeah,
Like the less you need to close a sale, the more sales you'll close. And
I
so
know.
if you can get, it's tough. I get it. It's tough because some months you need to close a sale, but you just got to be like surfer dude, whatever, man. I don't, you got
Yeah,
to
yeah,
adopt that mindset because that will really help you. And then instead of trying to close this sale, get more volume going. If you're talking to enough of the right people, they'll let you know when they're ready. And I think for creatives, one of the reasons why LinkedIn has been so successful for me is because it's less and less. It's getting more saturated, but it's historically been a little bit more of a blue ocean. If you mention LinkedIn to a lot of videographers, they're like, "What's that?" But like Instagram, every single person has Instagram. So all
yeah.
these people are going to message you being like, yeah, I want a video. Like I have $100. Okay, support, I can't feed a family with $100. But like LinkedIn, you can find people who are like marketing directors. That means they're at a company that has a marketing department and a marketing
Mm,
budget and enough to pay multiple marketing people, and they probably have a strategy and know what they need. That's all. First of all, they can pay you more money, and it's way easier to do those projects. And you're not like explaining the need for it, basically.
yeah,
I'm not really trying to sell somebody on it through there. I'm just showing like why we're good and what makes us different. And if there's less creatives on there, they're like, oh, this is, yeah, I'm a videographer's never connected with me on here before. Let's chat.
yeah,
And a lot of people need video. So
100%. When you think of your vision and where you want to take the company, let's say over the next 12 months, are there any specific targets that you're aiming towards, like revenue, performance, or just any goals in general?
my, I think my like next goal. So yeah, I don't know. So I don't really set like huge goals or 10-year goals necessarily. I'm more like step by step type of thinking with things. So I'm like, okay, I get to this first like level. I'm here. Now what's like the next level? And then just keep going from there and just feel it out as you go type of thing. Okay, where do I want to go next? Where I'm at now is I want to get to 300K in revenue. That's probably like my next goal. So that's not like a super long-term thing. That's not unrealistic. Like I could potentially do that this year, but that's like the next level, I would say. And to get to that level, like with video, it really comes down to like systems. So that's my focus right now is like improving my business systems because you can only take on so many projects. Like to take on more projects or get more leads or whatever, you need to have like better systems. So that's the kind of thing that I'm focusing on now.
Awesome. Awesome. What advice would you give to new business owners that are looking to get into the agency space in 2025?
Man, yeah, that's a good question. I think I like people who are looking to get into creative agency or people who like new kind of people like the position I was in before where it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Essentially, if you could give the younger version of yourself before you started a piece of advice, what do you think you would tell yourself before you started?
Yeah, I think stop worrying and just go for it, honestly. I think trust your gut. Yeah, I think like trusting your gut. If you're thinking about starting something, I think your gut is a very good indicator. It's really easy to second guess things and be like, okay, what about this? What about this? But if this is the thing that you want to do, at some point you have to just go for it. And there's no better time than right now. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like you don't have to be the best in the world. You don't have to worry about what other people think about it or anything like that. If you just close your eyes for a second and yeah, I want to do this. I want to try this. Like, how would you feel if you didn't do it? Like, you have to start somewhere and just go for it. And there's all the resources that you could possibly need to do it. If you were 100 years ago and you were like, oh, I want to start something, and you didn't have someone who was going to literally show you how to do it, like, how would you figure out like how to do it? Now, like, you can figure out anything now. All the
Yeah.
information, the tools, resources, everything is out there for you for free often. Yeah, you just have to go for it. And I think networking is absolutely key for that. If you can find a good group of people, and you don't have to pay for mentorship or anything like that. If you can find a good group of people that you can learn from, maybe work for them for free or whatever to learn how they do things, that will really like skyrocket what you're doing.
Awesome. What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's travishawksmedia.com. And then Instagram is just at travishawksmedia. Those are like both really good ways of getting in touch with me. I did say before I don't really use like Instagram that much for lead generation, but I'm just like super active on there as like another way of communicating with people. I found Instagram's great for kind of like client nurturing. It's like you connect on there, you chat with each other, whatever. So I'm super active on Instagram. And then my website has like a pay like a contact page to like book a call if you wanted to book a call with me.
Awesome. Any final words before we wrap up?
No, yeah, I nothing. And do you have any other questions or anything like that?
I guess if you were to think of what the best piece of scaling advice you've received, what do you think that would be?
Definitely, I like quickly mentioned this before, but definitely like systems. I think that's like everything. Maybe that's because I'm not a systems person. So that maybe that's like to me, like sales and marketing and the actual like creative elements, like creating videos and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That is very natural to me. It's really easy for me to get better at those and learn. It makes a lot of sense. I have a lot of natural skills with those things. Systems are the thing that's probably like my biggest roadblock. Like it's hard for me to learn new softwares and systems, and it's taken me a lot of time and energy to learn better systems, and that's something I'm constantly working on. But I think someone like me, who's more kind of like sales and marketing oriented, you can get yourself into a tough situation if you're just like selling and then you don't have the systems to adequately handle what you're doing. You can get in a position of like just providing worse, like getting a bunch of leads that you can't actually close or not being able to handle the volume that you're getting. I think keeping a good pace with your like lead generation and systems so that everything can run smoothly and you don't have to end up working like 100 hours a week or something. That's key. Yeah, I think without good systems, you can't scale.
100%. Travis, I appreciate your time.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate your time as well. Thanks for inviting me.
Anytime. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to travishawksmedia.com. You can also follow Travis on IG and reach him on IG, Travis Hawks Media. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million in 26 months. Until then, keep on climbing.